Hi everyone, we're going to just check in with Solana, Crypto OG, Sol, USDT 4-hour chart. Now, Sol's holding its own. Sol is essentially a long-term pattern resistance, and just for the uninitiated, let's just show you what that pattern is. This is the pattern. It's a very large ascending triangle, and we're sitting right here, and you can see there's a reversal from this back at the start of the bull run in October 2023. There was a very clear definable bounce earlier this year in April 2025, and here we are again, except this time we haven't had a very quick bounce. We're just hanging around there because the market is looking a little bit bearish. Probably a little bit of an understatement if I'm honest, but here is what we've been. So we had a triple bottom essentially. That triple bottom was invalidated, and we've unfortunately now had a dip below this very important diagonal support line, but we've since managed to recapture it, and you'll notice that the price actually is now sitting exactly where my nice little arrow is for a potential long trade here. Now, the issue, of course, is we are getting weakness signals from the price action, and this is the sort of thing which we can't ignore. So this dip below support here and the little dip from below support here is starting to paint a picture, a bearish picture, shall we say. And even though we've had this diagonal resistance line, which we're using as a confirmation signal, we have broken out of that. The breakout of that came on the back, essentially, of a breakdown of this pattern. So if we essentially, well, not necessarily, but if we draw that, that's essentially the lower resistance line of this falling wedge. And you see we dipped below it, and then we've recovered and managed to hold our own essentially above this. But that's a very negative sign. That's a very bearish sign. It shows that the bulls are weakening and the sellers are starting to take control. So you could say to yourself, right, this is a great place to enter Sol for a long trade. Well, the truth is that it is quite a manageable position here, because if we do have a further retrace, we're probably going to have the price action dancing around this area before it heads lower. So that's why it's relatively safe and manageable. But we have to realize that in these situations where we're seeing weakness in the price action, we really need to be looking for bullish confirmation first before entering. So we have this diagonal line here, which was, this horizontal line here. Need to sort my geometry out. We have a horizontal line here, which was a potential entry point for the price action, but we can now use that as a confirmation signal. So essentially, if you are looking to enter here, the best play is this, right? This is a good position. It's a very manageable position, but we need something to offset this weakness. So if we see a move above this line, like this, ideally surpassing these previous swing highs, then you can look to come back in on the flip side. That will then give you a bullish signal to trade off, and then you can come back in and support on the back of that, knowing that you're still in a really good place to manage it if the market heads down like this, and then you've got obviously like potential exit points with a bearish retest on the way down. But you are entering on the back of a bullish signal, which will mean more buyers start to look to come in the market, as opposed to now, which we're entering potentially, or we might be looking to enter a long trade on the back of a bearish signal, which is not what we want to do. So right now, I would recommend waiting. We need to wait and see for a move above. And this line is essentially spot on $130. So a clear break above $130. I mean, that would be ideal, but I don't think we're going to see that. And then you can look to come in after a bullish signal and more buyers will come in. But that's essentially how you need to play it. But right now, we need to wait to see if we can surpass $130 again, which can then give us a signal where we can enter again flush at this diagonal support, which is essentially around 123. But that is Solana.